The statistics are staggering. 1 in 3 returning veterans has an invisible wound of war. 22 veterans die by suicide every day.
Traumatic stress reactions are universal. They happen to everybody. What's unique about our military is that they are in situations all the time that are conducive to that.
When a trauma happens, our body may respond in a very powerful way that is about survival. The problem can develop when we start to respond to something that's not actually dangerous.
Since September 11, 2001, nearly 3 million men and women have answered the call to duty and deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan.
People in this country have varying opinions about the wars we've been in recently, but everyone is incredibly grateful for the young men and women who have sacrificed so much.
They've sacrificed everything for America's security, and they're returning home after leaving their loved ones behind for multiple 12 to 18-month tours. But their battle is far from over.
When they come home, everybody sees the celebration, and then it's out of everyone else's mindset. And sometimes, if there are going to be readjustment issues, those things are happening, a few months, a year, maybe several years down the line.
From the impact of the explosions to witnessing the ravages of war itself, these experiences have a long-lasting impact on a person's well-being. And the challenge of the warrior ethos is that they will not often seek help.
There's still this idea that if you're tough, that you wouldn't ever need this. But from what I see, the real tough people are the ones who say, I gotta man up and get help for this because I can't do it alone. And I think that we have to have a new idea of what tough is.
I was deployed to Iraq in 2003 to 2004. I thought it was something I needed to do, that the country needed from me, and I was happy to answer that call. I was a combat medic. I was on the front line with the troops, going on missions. In our area of operation, there was a lot of buried weapons and munition caches that the Hussein regime had buried prior to the war. We would collect up all these, and then we would have a controlled detonation to destroy all of these munitions. There was one day where there was a detail going on, and there was a group of soldiers from our troop who were offloading it into a demo pit, and one of the rounds prematurely exploded. All you could hear was medic. And when that happens, you don't even think. It's like instantaneous. We just went all bolting out the door, and you could see black pillars of smoke. You could see broken pieces of 82 millimeter mortar everywhere. We had 9 injured in the matter of that. Our EOD specialist was instantaneously killed. One of the best liked and most well-liked members of our troop, my best friend, was thrown off the vehicle, and he was covered in head to toe with shrapnel, burnt flesh, burnt hair. Unfortunately, he passed away during the medevac flight to Mosul. Within a week, I had horrible survivor's guilt. You just beat yourself up over it all the time. You try to replay everything in your head, even though it's impossible with everything going on. You think, if I had done a medical intervention differently, would he have been alive today? It was probably like maybe a year and a half after we got back from Iraq when I started realizing, there could be something wrong. I gave off this sort of aura that, I don't want to be bothered. And then, you go home and you drink till your face falls off with the light off, and, your parents, they know something's wrong, but, they're too afraid to say anything. And it got to a point where, it really started to bother me when people, would say, I can't sleep at night because we don't know if we're going to wake up the next morning, you're going to be alive or dead. That's how bad it got when I was itinerizing a suicide. And that's when I'm like, oh, okay, I need to do something about it. If Kelly had walked away and said, I can't do this anymore, back then I probably wouldn't have blamed her, but I think she saw somebody in there that, you know, was worth being with, and she loved me. And you know, people talk about, you know, running into that explosive area in Sinjar, and wow, that was a pretty brave thing, but it doesn't even compare to just taking that first step and going to get help, because that was tougher, I thought. Bringing myself into home base and acknowledging that things aren't right, this isn't the way things should be for you, and this isn't the way life should carry on, was probably the bravest thing I did for myself. Well, Kelly and I started dating in 2010. She was my girlfriend now. Now we're happily married. We got married about 5 days ago. I don't know if that'd be possible without going through the home base program. I left to go to Iraq over 10 years ago, and it finally feels like I'm home now.